So every story has an origin, and I mean this one has got a long backstory. Can you guys tell us a little bit how this thing came to life?
Yeah, so we spent 10 years working on this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it started, the first draft was, we wrote it in 2009, and then there was about 160 subsequent drafts. And I say that, and I don't.
So for all the writers in the audience, as a lesson.
And the 3 or 4 times it was a page 1 rewrite.
Wow.
He always died at the end. This is a parable. We always
Right.
knew he needed to die at the end. But I would say that, it was more drafts, but I changed computers a few times, so I probably lost a couple. Over 10 years, that happens. It started initially with this kind of in a nostalgic sense. It was a burning desire to kind of put these pulp nonfictions that our dad would tell, because he worked in the Diamond District for a runner/salesman who was not Howard. He was kind of like he was a dreamer, and he was overcompensator, and he was just trying to earn his place. But he's not the character. And
Still living, I hope.
Our dad's
Yes.
Our dad is, yes. The guy he worked for. I haven't been able to get in touch with him. I wanted to show him the movie. I haven't been able to get in touch with him. But he was kind of when I reconnected with him, he's like, "Your dad owes me $3,000," and I was like, "What?" And he was quick to tell me that. Yeah. So over the 10 years, we wrote the film with Ronald Bronstein, and we at some point this plot and the fiction becomes part of your life. And if you were to look at my journals over the past 10 years, they're bizarre because it's just Howard this, Howard that, but it's my life. I'm saying Howard in regards to my own life. So I'm spinning my own experiences through the fiction and trying to understand what I'm going through and ideas I'm having. So it's tough. It's tough to allocate how this thing becomes so layered.
Yeah, and then
because everything is thought out.
And then in addition to that, it's not like there was this. It was this weight. Like, we wanted to make this movie. We thought, oh, we're gonna be 78 years old by the time we make this movie. But what ended up happening was
nothing wrong with being 78.
No, I'm saying, but when you
Absolutely not.
I'm saying, but no, I'm not saying that. I was saying when we started at 20, it was like, oh, it's gonna take us 50 years to make this thing. That's when it's gonna finally get there. What ended up happening though was you make this movie, and like, okay, after we make Daddy Long Legs, our first film, like, all right, Uncut Gems is next. And then you think you've arrived, and everybody's like, nope, sorry, you can't do that. Like the culture at large, Hollywood at large, saying you're not allowed to do that yet. So then you make a movie that's related. It was a documentary about a basketball player. So you make all these twists and turns, but it ends up deepening your ideas and your the thought process and how things go. And
educational detours is what they were. Every film was an education to make this one better. We went out to.
If you didn't know,
we had our first film. It was a small film that we had at the Cannes Film Festival, and we thought we were gonna. I was 25 at the time, and I was just like, which is absurd to think. And we thought we could take that modicum of success and go after Adam Sandler, and we had no right to go after Adam Sandler. We didn't earn that right. And the script,
I'd like Adam to weigh in on that.
Yes, Howard always died, and we always wanted Adam because we knew the movie wouldn't work without him.
Yes. But speaking of Adam Sandler,
Hello.
So they say they approached you at Cannes. Did that actually happen?
No, I mean I never talked to him. I do apologize for the way I'm dressed. I know it doesn't look good. My kid has a Spanish test tomorrow. I was studying Spanish with her. I kept saying I gotta change, and she.
You always look like that.
I know. But for the
getting the inside
academy,
scoop
I
here, people.
throw a coat on. I've been here one other time. I swear to God, I had a nice jacket. I was ready to go, but my kid has the test and all. And I kept saying, I do got to change. And she said, please, not yet. And so I got late. Sorry about this sweatshirt. And the corduroys. And Julia's.
But you're warm.
Yeah. I am warm. But no, I did not hear about the script coming my way 10 years ago. I did not. I have people who represent me that took it upon themselves to say no to you guys, and I was I had other stuff to do, but no. What happened eventually was, if you don't know, have you heard this story yet, Julia? She's tuning out. I got good stuff.
I usually do when you're talking.
So I was going to Cannes for the Meyerowitz.
This was in 20,
2 years ago, right?
2017, yeah.
Right, and then and my agency kept saying the Safdie brothers want to meet you, and I didn't know who they were. So I said, why do I need to meet the Safdie brothers? And they said they're young, very good filmmakers. They're very hip. They said hip. I don't consider you guys hip. Now that I know you, I consider you very. I wouldn't use that word. I would just say. But at the time, I thought it was like they were skateboarders or something like that. And I said, I don't. I said I don't have time for the Safdie brothers. Let me just do the Meyerowitz stories. And then when I came back after Cannes, they said to me, will you please just look at one of their movies? So I saw Good Time, and I could not believe how great that movie was, and then I watched all their movies, and I was dying to meet them, and I said, yeah, and I texted these guys, right?
Yeah.
I texted, I said nice stuff, and then they sent me the script, and I read it, and I couldn't believe. By the way, what a script to get, and what a as an actor, you're just like. Every scene you say, well, that is an incredible scene. It's just scene after scene was exciting, and I was afraid and scared at home, and my wife said, you can do this and all that stuff, but I was terrified in the beginning.
Well, let's talk about some of the reasons why you should be afraid of a role like that, because I can think of a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging.
It's challenging. I don't love being naked. It's something that never goes well, even without cameras rolling. I'm like, gotta be naked. Even walking from the bathroom to the bedroom.
And the colonoscopy was a stock footage. We gotta make sure everybody knows that, right?
That was not. That was my colonoscopy. Everything's clear. But yeah, no, I was scared of so many things, but I loved it. I loved it. I was excited. Just scene after scene was a different emotion, a different thought, a different way to go at things, and I never saw anything coming when I read this script. I had no idea what was happening and what was going to happen to Howard and Julia. And anyways, it was once I was in, and once I sat down with the guys, and we just talked and talked and talked, I felt more and more confident.
How did you prepare to do such a large role, such a crazy role, this bad romance going on between these two people, with the delusions, the self-deception, the greed, and the love? It's such an interesting, complicated world, and you acquitted it beautifully. So how did that come together for you?
Well, I didn't really prepare that much because I was told by Josh Safdie not to take acting lessons. So I basically just went to the gym a lot and ate well and just
Smith and Walensky.
and I remember getting to set and just being like, what if I can't act? Like, what if I tricked all these people into thinking I can do this? And that screen test I had that day, just miraculously I could act that one day, and I'll never be able to again. And so after the first day, I was very relieved. I got through it, and I got that boost of confidence, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And I had an incredible teacher, just watching him and how he just can just let himself go and really embody this character, put his ego aside, and just really immerse himself and lose himself. That was,
You certainly did that, Julia. You were free, so free. So the first, we always talk about this, but the first scene we did together was a scene when I come home and Julia's been up all night, and Josh, you want to say what Julia did?
Yeah, that was it's in the credit sequence now. Actually, in the script, it was a 6-page scene. It was designed to be part of a credit sequence, in the edit that I meant.
Yeah, it was shot, and it was.
Yeah. The character was supposed to have been up all night, so Julia thought she would be method about it and just decided to not stay up all night. So she showed up to a 6-page scene with no sleep, and it was great because, and it's a very difficult scene. If you read the actual the way it existed, had a lot of ups and downs, and it was on the page. It was this one scene where the plotting that we were trying to do from on high always felt exposed, and as directors, you just think, okay, when we get on the set, the actors will make it alive, and that stuff that you're self-conscious about will actually disappear. And the two of them, I mean, in particular, Julia, like Sandler standing above, but the way that you were able to, I mean, it's a great moment when you're just like, do you want to stay mad or do you want to get in bed and cuddle? And the way that you just know everything about the couple in that moment. And but I remember you were tired. And we were all nervous because it's like you didn't sleep. This is a lot of pages to get through, and with dialogue, the whole script, and we had the benefit of following Sandler's 50 city tour for his comedy special, and which was 3.5 hours of material every night. I mean, you only get to see an hour and a half in the special, but it's a lot. And it was almost like I'd never seen anything like it. The way he was able to memorize dialogue. At one point, we wrote a new monologue, the one opposite Tilda Swinton on the phone,
Yes.
With the auction manager. We changed that up last second, and it was like the 1.5-page monologue. And I thought that we sent it before lunch started, but we just didn't. We thought we did. So he came up to me. He's like, "What's up with the? Did you end up changing the dialogue?" I was like, "Yeah, you didn't get it." He's like, "No, I never got it." And we're like, "Oh no, here you go." And that's when you feel like a piece of shit director. You're gonna give a guy a 1.5-page of monologue. And he just went up to the side for 15 minutes or something. I'd never seen anything like it before. And he came out. He's like, "All right, I'm going to try to get as much as I can." And he did it. I mean, it was amazing.
There was such great chemistry between the two of you. I loved, and there was that one scene where you explained about the Garnet, and I understand that was something that you sort of brought to the game there.
Sure.
Yes.
It's a stone, so I thought maybe we should mention that. But Kevin, and when we did scenes with groups of people, when we did one-on-one scenes, he was so focused, and so Lakeith is incredible in the movie. And Lakeith, we always talk about before the camera. Lakeith stays in character a lot when we're not rolling, or minutes before rolling, we're improving. So we come in, by the time we get to the scene, it feels like it's, just natural conversation that we led into. And Kevin Garnett saw Lakeith doing this, and he started doing it, and then became his habit also. But he was a natural. He was just amazingly focused and present, and was not unsure ever. Mm-hmm. He just was like in every scene and responded, and it was improvising sometimes, and he was so on it. It was incredible, actually. We were all admired how great KG was.
People were like, "Are you sure he's not an actor who became a basketball player?" Because it was just
don't get it
confidence.
twisted. As a Knicks fan, this was very difficult. It was very difficult to not only work with and collaborate, but get to know on a deep level someone who we took so much pleasure
Crossing
destroying
the line,
their life
so to
all the
speak.
time.
We did get some inside stories on a lot of the legends that he was a part of.
Oh,
man.
I bet. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for
Thank
doing
you
that.
very much.